If AI saves time, who gets the time back? Leadership decisions that determine whether AI builds capacity or creates more work, by Leslie Rohonczy. Imagine that an employee finds a way to use AI to complete a weekly task in 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. The organization has gained 100 minutes of capacity. The employee has gained exactly nothing, at least not yet, because someone still has to decide what happens to that time. Does the employee take on more work or use the time to think more deeply, strengthen relationships, solve harder problems, or learn something new? Does the organization reduce staffing? Does the employee simply become responsible for producing more, faster? Or does the time vanish into the familiar workplace swamp of meetings, messages, and overflowing inboxes? Every second leadership article I read seems to be about how much time artificial intelligence could save, but I'm becoming more interested in a different question. Who gets the time back? I'm not an AI expert and I don't claim to be one, but in my work as a leadership and executive coach, I hear clients talk about how they're wrestling with new expectations around AI and how they're reshaping organizations. From that vantage point, recovered time looks less like a technology question and more like a leadership decision. And there's another question tucked inside it that may be even more important. If AI begins doing more of the work through which people have traditionally learned and developed their craft, how will they develop the judgment required to know whether the work is any good? Saved time doesn't stay empty for long. Research suggests that generative AI can help people complete some tasks substantially faster. A 2025 Harvard Business School working paper examined how 78 employees at IG Group used generative AI to perform work involved in producing online investment articles. Across the participants, the average time spent conceptualizing an article fell from about 63 minutes without AI to 23 minutes with it. The writing phase fell from 87 minutes to 22. Those are significant gains within the specific tasks the researchers studied, but they tell us nothing about how an organization should use the time recovered. Should employees spend it reviewing the quality of the work, speaking with customers, coaching colleagues, or investigating more complex problems? Should they be given another 3 articles to write? Should they engage in training for their next area of development? The answers matter because workplace capacity rarely sits around waiting to be thoughtfully allocated. It gets claimed. Microsoft's 2025 analysis of billions of anonymized Microsoft 365 usage records from around the world found that the average worker receives 117 emails a day and 153 Teams messages every weekday. Microsoft described a seemingly infinite workday, with activity extending from early morning email checks into evening meetings and late-night inbox visits. Adding faster tools to that environment won't necessarily produce a healthier or more thoughtful workplace. Microsoft itself warned that organizations risk using AI to accelerate a broken system, unless they also rethink the rhythm of work. If every efficiency gain is immediately converted into more volume, we're not improving the system. We are simply emptying a bucket faster while a larger hose continues to pour work in. The practice work was doing more than producing output. Measuring efficiency becomes more complicated when we consider a second, and perhaps more important, perspective: what people learn while doing the work AI may replace. Think about a junior analyst who spends hours reviewing data, preparing a first draft, and discovering that 2 numbers don't quite make sense together. Much of that work may feel laborious, and some of it may be ideal for AI assistance. The analyst, however, is doing more than producing a report. They are learning which anomalies deserve attention, developing a feel for what normal looks like, encountering their own assumptions, making mistakes and discovering why those mistakes matter. They are building judgment. Professional judgment accumulates through exposure, repetition, feedback, correction, and the occasional uncomfortable realization that the obvious answer was wrong. This is the apprenticeship journey hidden inside every workday. The emerging research doesn't give us one simple answer about what AI will do to that process. The comprehensive 2025 OECD review concluded that generative AI can support learning and skill development through personalized assistance and rapid access to information. But the review also found reasons for concern about over-reliance, particularly when people accept AI-generated information without evaluating it. The OECD cautioned that the long-term effects on learning and critical thinking remain uncertain and depend heavily on how the technology is used. There are two paths available with very different results and impacts. AI becomes an excellent tutor, practice partner, and resource and source of immediate feedback that helps us improve. Or it steals the learning opportunity from us because it supplies the answer before we've had time to even wrestle with the question. Those are two very different developmental experiences. A polished answer can hide an empty toolbox. The Harvard Business School study offers an important clue about the role of prior knowledge. The researchers compared 3 groups performing work normally done by web analysts. 12 web analysts who were already deeply experienced at their tasks, 26 marketing specialists whose existing skills were relatively close to the task, and 40 technology specialists whose expertise was more distant from it. With AI assistance, all 3 groups performed similarly on article conceptualization, which included organizing information and developing an outline. Performance diverged during the writing itself. The technology specialists' articles received average scores, approximately 13% below those produced by the web analysts and marketing specialists. The researchers found that AI helps a lot when the knowledge is fairly abstract and easy to put into words. But when the work depends on real context and judgment, people without experience are still at a disadvantage. As they put it, AI can give you the map, but you still need experience to actually navigate the terrain. That distinction matters for leaders because AI-generated work can look impressively complete. That polished presentation, analysis, or recommendation may conceal how little the person presenting it understands. We can no longer safely assume that the quality of an initial output reliably indicates the depth of an employee's capability. Someone may generate work that looks remarkably senior, allowing them to contribute sooner and attempt assignments that were previously beyond their reach. Those are real advantages. The risk appears when leaders mistake AI-assisted performance for developed judgment. The gap may only become visible when the circumstances change. The AI produces an incorrect answer, or the employee must defend and adapt the recommendation under pressure. In addition to asking whether someone can produce the output, leaders may need to evaluate whether they can explain it, challenge it, adapt it, and recognize when it should not be trusted. Recovered capacity needs an owner and a purpose. Organizations understandably want a return on their AI investment. Productivity gains must create value somewhere. The uncomfortable question is whether every minute saved should automatically become another minute of production. Several parties may have legitimate claims on recovered capacity. The organization may need it to produce greater output, faster service, or lower costs. Employees may need it as relief from unsustainable workloads. Teams may need time for learning, collaboration, and stronger working relationships. Customers may benefit from more thoughtful attention. Leaders may finally have room for important strategic work that has repeatedly been crowded out by operational urgency. All of these are reasonable possibilities in organizations. So how do we decide how recovered capacity will be used? In a volume-driven culture, the time may become more volume. In a meeting-heavy culture, it may become more meetings. In an understaffed team, it may disappear into the backlog before anyone notices it existed. Existing organizational habits are likely to fill the vacuum if we don't make conscious choices. Saving time is therefore an incomplete AI strategy. Leaders also need to decide what the recovered time is for, who benefits from it, and how the decision will be explained to employees. Protect some inefficiency. There are parts of work we should be delighted to make faster. Few employees need the character-building experience of reformatting the same information into 6 different templates. Other forms of effort deserve more careful consideration. Struggling with a complex problem before consulting AI may build our critical reasoning chops. Drafting an initial recommendation may reveal gaps in our understanding. Reviewing source material may expose contradictions that would disappear inside a tidy summary. Working beside an experienced colleague may transmit judgment that no procedural guide can offer. Some of this will look inefficient on a spreadsheet, even though it contributes directly to future capability. Leaders may need to distinguish between friction that contributes little and development effort that builds judgment. Removing the friction can create capacity. Removing the developmental effort can create dependency. I'm not suggesting banning AI from development work. That would be unrealistic and would block other genuine learning opportunities. But it does require thoughtful design work and clear expectations so that AI strengthens the employee's thinking without consistently replacing it. A leader might ask an employee to form their initial view before consulting AI, then compare the reasoning with the AI output, identify points of disagreement, verify evidence, and explain the final recommendation in their own words. That approach may take longer than accepting the first polished answer, but it will help develop someone's ability and confidence to make sound decisions when the answer is unclear, the context shifts, or the technology gets it wrong. The productivity conversation needs two sets of metrics. Organizations are understandably tracking speed, output, cost, and adoption. Perhaps they need a second column of measures. Alongside asking how much time AI saved, leaders could explore what happened to the recovered capacity. They could track whether the technology strengthened human capabilities or removed important forms of practice. They could ask how less experienced employees will develop judgment if they no longer perform the repetitions through which experienced employees built theirs. They could also examine whether workloads are becoming more sustainable or simply expanding to absorb every gain. Most importantly, they could ask who is benefiting from the productivity improvements and whether employees would recognize that benefit themselves. AI may well help organizations accomplish more, and that opportunity is too important to dismiss. But if the only visible result is that people process more work at a faster pace, employees may reasonably conclude that the reward for becoming more efficient is a larger pile of work, and that is unlikely to create enthusiastic adoption. Your coaching challenge. Over a 2-week period, consider one area of your team's work where AI is already saving time, or may soon. Reflect on these questions. Number 1. What capacity could realistically be recovered, and how would we know? Number 2. If nobody makes an explicit decision on where it would be reallocated, where is that time most likely to go? Number 3. What portion should improve organizational performance, and what portion could strengthen learning, relationships, innovation, or workload sustainability? Number 4. What valuable judgment have experienced employees developed by doing the work AI may now perform? Number 5. How will newer employees develop that judgment if they don't have the same opportunities to experiment and practice? Number 6. Where should AI provide assistance, and where should employees still be expected to think, attempt, question, or decide for themselves? And number 7. What would a fair and transparent conversation with employees about recovered capacity sound like? The future of work will be shaped by what AI becomes capable of doing. It will also be shaped by what leaders choose to do with the capacity it creates and what they continue to ask human beings to learn. If these questions are surfacing in your organization, I'd be glad to help you work through them. I work with senior leaders who are navigating complex challenges while protecting the judgment, capability, and working relationships their organizations will continue to need. Reach out for a free exploratory executive coaching conversation at leslierohonczy.com. Have a smooth day.